was whispering because I had to do it quietly so he didn't notice that I was coming. Mr. Grim Reaper. Nice scoot. Seen him before at scooter rallies. I'm sorry about sniffing. What has she just done there? Ended up in the outside like, what is she doing? Not the best of ways of doing it, but at least there was nobody else there in the way to prevent her from doing it. Actually, I keep saying her just because there was a lot of long blonde hair. That could have been a bloke. Quite easily could have been a bloke. So apologies to anybody if I offended you for my sexist remarks. I hate filtering with my visor down. I went down to London yesterday. Day trip, had to take my eldest to university, starting his first year, and his digs are in Wembley. In fact, they're not just in Wembley, they are approximately 100 yards. His front door was 100 yards from the steps up into Wembley Stadium. What I didn't know, of course, because I don't follow the game, is that the Rugby World Cup was on and they're actually playing games at Wembley. I thought they played games at Twickenham in London or around London. Come on. Oh, for fuck's sake. Fucking Egypts. Yeah, so going down to London, I looked on Google. I've never driven down to London before, can never be asked. If I have to go down there with work, it's always by train. Train's so much faster. You can just relax on it, even if it is annoying and boring. So I looked on Google and every other navigation thing, and from where I live, they all said the A1. Take the A1 straight down, much faster than the M1. So I got on the A1. It's bloody chock-a-block, isn't it? It's absolutely heaving. Every mile or so, everything comes to a standstill for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Just because of dickheads who can't regulate their speed so that everybody goes at the same speed, and then people jump in and other people have to slam their brakes on, or they actually don't have to slam their brakes on, but they choose to do so. So everybody ends up stopping. It got so annoying that 18 miles later I jumped onto the M18 and decided to go for the M1 instead, and that turned out to be absolutely fine, really. The M1, it's got a lot of average speed check 50 mile per hour zones on it, all the way down. I think they're upgrading it to 4 lanes in most places, which you can then understand why there's the 50 mile per hour limits in so many places across the whole thing, because really you've got to implement a 4th lane all together at the same time. So that was a bit of a pain, but the interesting thing about the 50 mile per hour limit, average speed, is that everything moves very, very smoothly. And it got me to thinking that because everything's so smooth with these average speed limits, I wonder when it's going to be that they put a 70 mile per hour average speed limit from the start of the motorway all the way. Instead of having little bits of people standing around to try and catch you, coppers, or these marks on the road, they just go, no, forget it. We'll have the ANPR details. We'll use that from when somebody gets onto the road to when somebody leaves it. And that'll do. Everything's to do with average speed limits. Everything should move pretty smoothly for everybody, and it only impacts on those people that are wanting to go faster. Which would actually be quite funny. And in reality, once they'd seen how safe it was, they could probably move it up to an 80 mile per hour limit, or they could have variable limits. You could have a... No, you probably couldn't work that. You couldn't have a 70 on the inside lane and an 80 on the outside lane. I think they'd just have to stick it with an 80 mile per hour average in the end, which a lot of people have said they'd like to happen. And I think it could. And it could work. The only difficulty is when there's motors on there that aren't travelling at the speed limit that it actually says. So 50 works because everybody could hit 50, I guess, and maintain 50. Even the lorries going uphill. But it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting concept, and I wonder whether somebody's going to do something about it, or try to do something about it. But anyway, I got down to London and we got to a place called Staples Corner, which is junction 1, which is the end of the motorway, A406, and my sat-nav is telling me to take the 4th turning on the roundabout, and I'm straight heading towards Wembley. And it's chock-a-block, nothing's moving. I'm within 5 miles, and suddenly I'm not moving, and I'd been moving the whole time really. Just didn't know what it was. Turns out that there was an overturned lorry on the roundabout, and it was totally blocked. So we had to go the wrong way up the motorway, up the A road, the A406, to then come off at a slip road and then turn all the way around. And that really is a lot of fun when you're only dealing with a sat-nav and you have no idea where you're going or whether you're in the right lane. Lots of jumping about across lanes, having to do it to make sure I'm in the right lane to go to where I was wanting to go. And then this lorry having gone over just happened to be at the exact timing of the start of everybody. You fucking dick, get your fucking arse moving. You're gonna fucking pull out there, fucking floor it if you're gonna pull out in front of me, you twat. So this lorry has broken down at exactly the wrong time, because there's a rugby match on. It turns out Argentina and New Zealand or something like that. It's definitely Argentina. I have no idea who the other team was. And we're having to go around, and I've put his address in the sat-nav, Lakeside Way, and it's basically at the steps of Wembley. And the sat-nav took me left about 2 turnings before I needed to turn left. It took me so that I had to go through all of the people that were walking into Wembley, and then it was going to take me all the way around and I'm wondering whether I can get around and filter through on the outside, but I don't think so because a load of cars will be turning right. And it was then going to turn me right to go all the way back past all of these people, but this time basically across the front of Wembley Way where the steps are. So that was a no-no. We had to turn around and go through the crowd all over again, which was at least that was regimented because it was a natural road, so they had guards on who were blowing their whistles at the right time to tell people, right, you can go now, and all the cars stop, or the cars can go now and you'd all better stop, otherwise you're going to get run over. So we got there, and then the road that my son was on, you could actually see the steps going up into Wembley just down at the bottom of the road. And of course, because that was on, the car park was 50 quid for any time up to 8 hours. I ended up parking just on the side, and by the time I left, all of the traffic had pretty much gone. So I was only in the car for about 10 hours. Bloody knackered by the time I got home. Very little interesting happened on the journey. There was one bit where there was these little Vauxhall Corsas or something with the sticker zip car on the back, and they were driving like absolute nutters, 70 to 80 miles per hour, and the one behind the other was less than a car's length from his arse, and it was really quite scary stuff. And they'd be jumping in and out of the traffic, undertaking, and there was one point where they went into the middle lane, tried to undertake. Clearly there wasn't a space there, but then the front car clearly got a space and dived in, and without bothering to give a shit about whether there was a space there, the second car just dived in as well and basically forced the other person that was in that space to slam his brakes on. When these zip cars eventually did turn off, I noticed that the front car had a hell of a lot of damage to its side, and frankly I'm not bloody surprised with the way that they were driving. Tossers. That'll be another good bit of an average speed check on a motorway. Complete tossers would lose their licenses very, very quickly. You'd then get every car having cruise control as well, kind of like America. 80 mile per hour, click, that's it. You could then probably do with Google Plus. You click your cruise control, you click your Google Plus, you put your hands behind your head and go to sleep, and you let the car just attach itself to the car in front, and it just regulates you to that exact speed of the car in front. Of course, a different option for the future is you just have to press a button as to which junction that you're coming off, and then there's some kind of cloud service that then takes control of your motor and just gets you there. It doesn't matter what lane you're in, it just gets you there. It guarantees that there's no crashes, no nothing, across everybody, and everybody goes at the same speed. Nobody wins, nobody loses, everybody gets there. There's no traffic jams, there's no anything really. Now this is all about timing. Now. I was whispering because I had to do it quietly so he didn't notice that I was coming.